Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis and I am a fourth year PhD student at the University of Hawai'i at Manoa. And today I wanted to go over a very commonly asked question that we get, which is how exactly do you move to Hawaii in 2024? Okay, so just for some context, I moved to Honolulu, Hawaii, which is on the island of Oahu in 2020. So right in the middle of the pandemic, and I was moving from the west coast of the US, so not very far, but moving to an island can be a little bit challenging, especially if it's your first time, like moving away for school, but also if you're coming from like the mainland US or even farther, if you're an international student. Moving to an island can be pretty challenging. So I just wanted to go over a few tips or things that would be helpful to know before moving to the Hawaiian Islands for grad school, undergrad, or just a job in general. But yeah, the first step would be to know which Hawaiian island you are moving to or plan to move to. There are a handful that you can actually move to, with the first biggest one probably being Oahu. This is where we have Honolulu, Waikiki, North Shore, all of these places. This is where the University of Hawai'i at Manoa is located. We also have the island of Hawaii, which is referred to as the Big Island. This is where you have the volcano. It's a little bit less touristy than Oahu, I believe. And there's also another UH campus out there at Hilo. There's Maui, which is a little bit touristy, but a little bit more wild than Oahu. And Kauai, which is completely wild compared to like the other Hawaiian islands. So just keep that in mind and yeah, have an idea of which one you're going to be moving to because they're all very different and it just really depends on what you're moving to the islands for, what you're looking for, and it's a good place to start. So yeah, I guess I decided to move to Oahu because this is where the University of Hawai'i at Manoa was located and I was coming in for graduate school. I know if you're looking into grad schools, there's a campus here on Oahu, which is at Manoa, and there's also a campus on the Big Island at Hilo. But I think most of the graduate programs that you're gonna be interested in do fall at the Manoa campus, so which is on this island. This island just has way more like city, I think, compared to the other islands. So there's a lot of hiking, a lot of beaches, perfect mix of like city and nature, I think. But it is very different than the other Hawaiian islands for sure. Okay, so when you're thinking about moving to Hawaii or planning to move to Hawaii, the biggest and I think most important thing is finding a place to live. And this can be pretty challenging if you're not physically on the island or if you don't have a friend on the island that can like look at places for you. It could be really hard to know where to start. And I think that's where I get a lot of questions is on like how do you find a place to live if you're not physically on the island. And I think there's a few options or routes that you can take, but where I started was kind of just looking online at places like Zillow or using the Zillow app. There's also like apartments.com, and Zillow and apartments.com could be a good place for searching for a place to rent or a place to live on the certain island that you're moving to, or maybe you want to find a place that is close to campus, or maybe you want to be more on North Shore. So these like apps and websites will allow you to search by certain criteria that you're looking for. So if you're looking for a house versus an apartment, studio, or multiple bedrooms and baths, really you can just search by your preferences and even price range. So that could be really helpful. Yeah, you can usually look at the pictures. It gives you the contact information for the realtor people that you probably need to reach out to. And kind of how I went about doing this was just like looking at all of the places, marking all of the ones that seemed realistic as far as where it was, how far it was from campus, how expensive it was, because I was moving just me alone. So I couldn't get something really expensive where I needed to share it with roommates because I was just coming in. And I basically just reached out to all of those people explaining my situation, that I was moving from the mainland, and I kind of told them when I was expecting to arrive on island, because most of them are going to be asking like, when do you get to the island? This is very important because I don't know, I had in mind that I was gonna like 1 or 2 months before start looking for a place and find one that I can move into when I get here. But it's actually pretty difficult because I think they recommend that you start looking and reaching out to places or start applying like 2 to 3 weeks prior to moving, which seems super last minute, especially if you're just like, yeah, moving from the mainland or internationally, trying to move this tiny island and having a place to stay. It could be pretty stressful, but do know that that's like generally how people do it. It seems last minute, but there's a lot of places opening up constantly. Many people moving off island, so places open up. And that's why they do everything so last minute. Another really good option could be using Facebook groups that are specific to like apartments in Hawaii or specific to the island that you're moving to. If you're moving for school, maybe looking at the school discussion group and finding people that are looking for roommates. So either you guys can like look for a place together, or maybe it's someone that already lives on the island and has a new like lease opening up soon. So maybe they're looking for a roommate, they already have a place that could be perfect for you to like land yourself onto the island. I know some other people generally like try to book an Airbnb or a hotel while they're here. Try to live with a friend that they know that's here for like a week or two while you're apartment searching and figuring all of that out. So that could be a really good way to do it. It is a little bit stressful, but it's definitely possible. It's just gonna take a lot of work, like a lot of calling places, a lot of reaching out, and yeah, all of that. That is the hard part if you're not physically there. So next, I wanted to talk a little bit about what those rent prices look like, because as you might already know, Hawaii is one of the most expensive states to live in the US. I think it's pretty similar to living in LA, not as expensive as places like New York, but still pretty expensive. And especially if you're an international student, I feel like it can feel very expensive compared to what you're used to. But yeah, rent in places like Honolulu that are very close to Waikiki, which is the most touristy area, could be really, really expensive. And I think that also goes for like North Shore, because North Shore is really touristy when the wintertime comes, and the waves get really huge. So I think, yeah, everyone wants to live in like North Shore and Waikiki, which is just the center of most things. So places like that can be pretty expensive compared to other places around the island. But yeah, just in general, I wanted to kind of find a few numbers for you guys to give you an idea of what that rent looks like. And what I found is that it's about $1,400 for a small studio apartment. And I think this is pretty accurate because right now we are currently living in a very small studio apartment. I don't know the size to be exact, but I think it's around like 600 square feet. So really pretty small. And this is like one of the least expensive options because it's through the affordable like living or rental housing program thing. And we pay about $1,100 in rent, which does not include things like internet, utilities, and all of that, which probably comes out to another like $200. So I would say, yeah, that's a pretty good estimate for a studio apartment in Hawaii. And we're also about like 30 minutes or so, depending on traffic, from campus. So not too far. A 1-bedroom is about $1,600. A 2-bedroom is at $2,100. And a 3-bedroom is at $3,400 in 2024. So hopefully that can just give you an idea based on your budget and your moving situation. So if you're moving alone, maybe it's smarter to find a roommate to kind of split the cost. Or if you're a family moving, maybe your situation is a little bit different and yeah, you're looking for a bigger place or something like that. But just to give you an idea, that is what the rent looks like in Hawaii right now. So the next thing that I wanted to go over was whether or not you need a car while you're in Hawaii. I think it is definitely nice to have a car, but I know a lot of students that don't have a car and kind of spend most of their time around campus or friends that have cars to take them places like to get groceries or doing fun things. So I do know a decent amount of students that don't have cars and rely on their mopeds, bikes, or public transportation to go places. I think it is really helpful to have a car because, I don't know, I feel like here on Oahu, the public transportation isn't the best, or it's just, it takes a long time to go really far. Like if you want to go to North Shore, East Side, or West Side, it does take a long time. So I think I would highly recommend having a car. If that's not realistic, then having a bike or a moped, because you can go pretty far on a bike and a moped. Although I think the island of Oahu is not the most bike friendly place, it is still doable and people are on their bikes and mopeds all the time. So if you already have a car that you're planning on bringing to the island, I think it could be pretty worth it depending on how much you feel like you're gonna use the car here. But I paid, I think, around $1,500 to ship my car from LA to Oahu, and my car is a Toyota Prius, so a smaller car. And the price is obviously going to depend on how far you're shipping it from. So if it's West Coast US or East Coast US, there are options to ship your car. I believe it's through Matson or Pasha, but I used Matson. And I think it could be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500, right? Depending on the size of your car, how far you're shipping it from, which direction you're shipping it, and which island you're moving to. Also time of year, there's just so many different variables, but it is possible if you want to bring your car to Hawaii. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you feel like you need a car or a bike or a moped, you can buy all of those things here. Mopeds are really popular and they're kind of a little bit better than bikes, I think, because you could just go a little bit further and it's not as hard as riding a bike to go some places. That being said, mopeds don't last very long. My partner had a moped and I think it was probably good for about 2 years. And that's probably the lifespan for a moped before they start having just all of these problems. So keep that in mind and yeah, do some research before you buy whatever you're buying. Okay, so now that you have your place to live covered, your car, you're probably wondering how you bring the rest of your things. And I think there are a few options here. The first and maybe the easiest is just to bring very minimal things in your luggage, or just to bring multiple suitcases of things here. You can also ship some stuff here. That's kind of what I did. I think I shipped a few boxes of things that I wanted to have. There's other options if you're thinking of moving larger things to the island. There's company like Pods, U-Pack, and U-Box, which are pretty convenient shipping options, I think. I think you get a container. Sometimes it's door-to-door service. You just pack all of your things in and they ship that little shipping container to your place here. You unpack it all and then they pick up the container. And I've seen a lot of people that move with these little Pods containers because you can see them outside of everyone's places. And I think if you're moving into a house with a family and you're going to be here for a while and there's certain large items that you want to ship, then that could be a really good option. And I don't exactly know the prices to that, but I could put the links to all of that below so you can go check it out for yourself if that is of interest to you. If you're just a student and you're moving here for a few years, or you don't really care about bringing all of your things, you'll just buy new things here. There are stores. You can find pretty much anything that you'll need here. So yeah, just pack a bunch of bags, bring it on the suitcase, maybe mail or ship a box or two, and yeah, consider that good to go. So also going along with like mailing and shipping things, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you're a fan of Amazon Prime or if you use Amazon a lot, keep in mind that it's like probably not worth keeping your Amazon Prime subscription once you get to Hawaii, because the shipping times are just like so slow anyway, so it doesn't really make sense to get Amazon Prime. Things really won't come as fast as they do on the mainland, where it could be here like the next day or two. Definitely expect longer wait times for things like Amazon. But yeah, you get used to it after living here for a while. It is a little bit annoying like how quickly people get things that are on the mainland. But yeah, once you're here, it just takes like a week, but you get used to it. Okay, so another thing to note once you land on the island, or before you land, you might want to consider the cost of living in Hawaii, because it really is one of the highest out of the rest of the United States, at least. Right, you're paying a lot in rent because rent is just so high, but you're also paying a lot on groceries. And oftentimes like groceries that are just of lower quality and go bad faster, which is a little annoying. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to quickly go over what cost of living looks like in Hawaii. So for example, I found here that for a single person, your estimated monthly costs are about $1,500, and that is not including rent. So keep in mind, rent is anywhere from like $1,400 to $2,000 depending on where you're living. And if you're interested in seeing what monthly costs look like in Hawaii, then go and check out the video that me and my partner did showing how much we as a couple spend in 1 month living in Hawaii. And I think this video was actually published like a year ago, so it'll be interesting to see how it compares to like 2024. But a year ago, it came out to something like $2,800, including rent and everything, for one couple living in a small studio apartment in Hawaii. And that does include a little bit of eating out, but really mostly just like eating at home and going out 1 or 2 times for like a date night. So yeah, living in Hawaii is expensive. And yeah, really just everything is expensive here. So I'm gonna share a few more little like stats, I guess, but a meal at like an inexpensive restaurant on average is about $20, beer $8, a cappuccino, so just like a regular little drink, $6. That's very accurate for like a normal medium sized. Water $2.50, regular milk $7.61, bread almost $6, kind of crazy. What else could be interesting? Internet about $70. I think that's exactly how much I'm paying for Spectrum internet right now. And gas $4.90 per gallon. So that's actually not super expensive compared to other states where it's really, really high. But I think in Hawaii, the most expensive things are gonna be rent, car registration actually. Those prices are crazy high compared to other places. Food is probably the biggest one. It's really where we spend most of our money, and it's actually interesting because we shop at Costco in order to bring the cost down, so you can buy like frozen things, bread in like big packs, I guess meats, eggs, dairy products, oat milk, stuff like that, drinks, coffee, all of the things that you can buy in bulk, toilet paper, laundry detergent, soaps, and stuff like that. I think Costco membership, which is like $60 for the regular one, I think it's $60, is definitely worth it. And I think it's how most people like shop smart in order to save money here, living in Hawaii. And if you're interested in seeing what like shopping at Costco is like in Hawaii, check out the video that we did on it, and you can kind of see what we bought and how much it was. And I think also keep in mind that that was also published about a year ago. But yeah, really not like sharing this to be a Debbie Downer or anything, or to rain on your parade. Hawaii is an amazing place to live. There's amazing nature, beaches, just like slower pace of life and everything. but it does come with a cost, and I think it's just this super high cost of living because you're definitely gonna feel it. I feel like when you first come to the island, you think like, oh, I can pay this much in rent, and even I came in paying a little bit more in rent, like closer to $2,000 for myself, and at the time this seemed like fine. And it wasn't until like after a year of paying this where you start realizing that like, wow, my savings are just getting lower and lower, and yeah, I'm not spending that much money on like many extra things. It's just that everything's expensive here, and you're really gonna feel your savings account like dwindling. Yeah, I think it's a challenge for many people living here, for many students. That's why it's very common that people have like another job or side hobbies. So for students, they get involved in things like tutoring, other paid positions in the university. You can work at farmers markets, you can work for like a dog sitter or things like that, babysitting. Just, I think it's just not uncommon that people living here have a like second job or side thing that's bringing them a little bit more income, because saving is hard. And that's why I've seen the most number of people leave, is just because they want to start saving up to buy a house, saving up for their families, and it could be pretty challenging depending on what your job is here. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. But now I'll get to the more positive aspects of like living in Hawaii. Okay, so if you guys are getting any value out of this video, please give it a big like, and you can also buy us a coffee using the link in the description to show your support for this channel, and this will really help us as we continue growing this channel and making more videos for you guys about PhD life and couple life in Hawaii. Back to the video. So kind of like whichever island you're moving to, there's gonna be plenty of like amazing nature around you, and a long list of like free things that you can do that don't involve much money, because I did say everything is expensive, but there are plenty of things that you can do for free. So like going to the beach, walking around the beach, I don't know, running along the beach, hiking. There's an endless amount of hikes here on the islands. And if you're an outdoorsy person, I feel like this is a perfect place for you. If you like swimming, surfing, I mean, you have to buy a surfboard or like rent one, so it's not completely free. But once you make that like initial investment in something, or like roller skating, skateboarding, yeah, reading on the beach, there's a lot you can do for free. There's plenty of parks. There's also like free botanical gardens that you can walk around. So really amazing nature, and I feel like if you're a person that loves the outdoors, then this would be a perfect place for you. Okay, so continuing on this nature thing, another important thing to note before moving to one of the Hawaiian islands is that you're moving to a tropical place. So it's gonna be hot, it's gonna be humid, it's gonna rain a lot. You can expect that. You're moving to a tropical place. But with that comes like creepy crawlers and stuff. So like cockroaches being the like most common thing here. Anywhere from like the little tiny ones that you get in the kitchens and bathrooms if you don't clean up, to like the big giant flying ones that are just very gross. I'm not a big fan of them at all. I can deal with the little tiny ones, but the big ones are just gross. And yeah, it's just super common here. Like we get little cockroaches in the kitchen, that's normal, in like bathroom. But when you go outside and you're walking around at night, it's not uncommon to see like the giant flying ones. At my old apartment, which was a high rise, and I lived on like the 22nd floor, I got those big flying ones in the trash chutes, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, on the lanai. Yeah, so definitely be prepared for that. I've heard like horror stories of people waking up with like centipedes in their hair or in their beds. And actually, I have a funny story to share with you. So I was on the University of Hawai'i campus at this thing called Aloha Bash, basically just like this free music event for students. And I was sitting on these like steps, like stadium seating kind of, and I felt something on my neck, and I kind of just went like this and like flung it, and it was a giant centipede. So like the really big ones that bite and have a pretty painful bite. I'm so lucky that I didn't get bitten, because I'm sure with it being on my neck, it would have really hurt. But that's just like another horror story. I also heard of a tourist that was like drinking out of a pineapple or something, and there was a centipede in the straw that bit her. So yeah, these are like really terrible stories, and yeah, I just thought they're kind of funny too. But yeah, keep in mind that you're moving to the tropics, and with that comes things like cockroaches, centipedes. You also get a lot of mosquitoes around campus, which could be annoying. We don't have ticks in Hawaii, and we don't have snakes or like really large predators. So when it comes to like hiking and being out in nature, being on trails, that is one great thing that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about getting ticks on you. You don't have to worry about being bitten or like running into a bear or a mountain lion or something. I think the most dangerous animal that we have here are probably going to be the wild pigs, because I think if they're in groups, they can be a little scary or maybe a little aggressive, but that is the only thing that you have to worry for when you go out on these hikes, other than like sketchy hikes when it comes to like rocks, cliffs. That is kind of the only animal that you need to be worried about. Oh, sorry, so I completely forgot, but there's also these box jellyfish that are really common on the south shore of Hawaii, and they come out, I think, like 7 to 8 days after the full moon. And there's a full-on box jellyfish calendar that you can look up online by the Waikiki Aquarium that will tell you the low and high probability days of running into them at the beach. So if you're like a surfer or swimmer or just want to hang out in the waters, be sure to keep that in mind, because I definitely didn't know, and I was surfing one day and got stung in the face by a box jellyfish. And if I had just known about this, I could have like avoided going into the water on those days. And I think there's also signs on the beach sometimes, depending on where you go, warning you that like it's a high probability box jellyfish day. So this is one animal that actually could hurt you if you're in the water. I know on the east side, when there's high winds or lots of storms, we also get the Portuguese man-of-war. So these are also like jellies. They sting. They're not exactly like jellies, but they look like a little blue bubble floating on the surface, and they have these long, like stinging tentacles. And they don't get super big here, but if you get stung by those on the east side, it does hurt a little bit, but I think not as much as the box jellyfish on the south shore. So yeah, keep that in mind so you don't make the same mistake that I did when I first got here and was super excited about surfing. And one final thing that I wanted to mention is that if you move here, I would just be prepared to expect a lot of visitors from your family and friends that found out that you live there. Maybe they want to come visit you so you can show them around, or maybe they want to even stay with you if you have some space to keep some guests. Like, I've seen so many family and friends because they're just constantly coming here for like vacation and stuff, and maybe part of the reason why is because I'm here. Some just come here anyway, but we do get a lot of visitors because there's always someone here visiting that we know, because it is a beautiful place and you're very lucky to live here. But yeah, keep that in mind, is that you might see a lot of your family and friends or them reaching out to you because now they know you live in Hawaii. But yeah, there you guys have it. That is a guide for moving to Hawaii in 2024. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a big like, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment if you have any more questions that I can help you with about moving to Hawaii in general, what Hawaii life is like, or what life as a PhD student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa is like. So if you guys have any more questions, I would love to hear them and help you out with that. So just leave a comment or send a DM on Instagram and we'll get back to those. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.